Welcome back, guys, to Trails to Azure and another episode of bonding, as I've done the legwork to be able to bring the remainder of the bonding events of the SSS, 4 more for us to view throughout this episode before the story continues on. We're going to start with Noel. So with a little bit of extra dialogue added on at the end of her conversation, let's skip forward and get right to it, event after event. Hey Noe, you're not just gonna let the conversation end like that, are you? This is your big chance. Don't let him get away now. Chance? For what? Knock it off, Fran. Is everything okay there, Noel? Your face is starting to turn as red as your hair. No, it's just... Go for it, Noe. Would you be free to meet me up on the deck? You can wait until later if you want. It's not a big deal or anything, but there's something I really want to ask of you, Lloyd. In private. Sure, I'd love to. It's rare for you to ask anything of me, honestly. Way to go, Noe. Okay then, I'll see you up there after I finish up. I'll head to the deck once I'm done making my final preparations in the nap room. What should I do? What am I even doing right now? But still, if I let this opportunity pass me by, Oh, you're already here, Noel. Lloyd, thanks for coming. Don't mention it. So I take it you finished going over the plan with Commander Bales? Oh yeah, I did. She promised to keep the Bellegarde and Tangram forces on standby until noon at the least, so we should have enough time. That's as much as she can allow before they have to start mobilizing, though. That's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. Every last second counts. I guess it just makes our part in this all the more vital. There's no room for error. Right. Don't worry. I'm sure the soldiers in the city will be too focused on defending the perimeter. We'll likely be able to avoid fighting the defense force altogether. It's not that. I'm already prepared to stand against them if we have to. I was just thinking about how pathetic I am. What? Deep down, I knew declaring independence wasn't the right thing to do. I knew that the defense force was a mistake, but I was weak. I was too much of a coward to join Miriel's resistance. I just went with the flow and got swept away. Made me realize how sheltered I'd been, how naive I was. I've been living in the CGS bubble, blind to the world around me. The commander granted me an opportunity when she approved my temporary transfer. What have I even done with it? Everyone has these doubts, Noel. So do I. If it weren't for Kia and the others, I would have done exactly what you did. I'm not as bold and heroic as you might think. Not at heart, anyway. I'm not so sure about that. I honestly think you are. I mean, it takes a certain amount of boldness to declare that I'm all yours. Nothing. Forget I said anything. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the most important part of broadening your horizons is taking a chance. That's exactly what you did when you agreed to join the SSS and when you came back to us. Maybe it's not my place to say whether or not you made the right decision, but I couldn't be happier that you're here, Noel. There's no other way I'd rather have it. Lloyd! Get a hold of yourself, Noel Seeker. You've got this. It's no different than a training drill. Assess the situation and keep your eyes on the target. Oh, I almost forgot why we're out here. You said you wanted to ask me something. What was it? Oh, right, that. But before I get to it, sorry if this is a little too personal a question, but I was wondering, Lloyd, are you dating anyone right now? Dating? Don't worry, I didn't mean anything by it. I just... Fran and I were curious as all. Girl talk, you know. Oh, okay. I guess even you get invested in gossip like that sometimes, huh? Well, it's not by choice or anything, but I'm not seeing anyone, no. Kind of embarrassing, huh? There's so many eligible girls in Crossbell, and yet... Is that so? Is he really this dense? If that's the case, then... Could I ask you to hold on to this for me? But... Isn't this your Crossbell Guardian Force dog tag? It is. I figured I wouldn't need it anymore, now that the defense force has been established. But I just couldn't throw it away. I've been holding on to it this whole time. I can't blame you. But why me? Well, we're going to be risking a lot tomorrow. That much is a fact. If something were to happen to me... No, never mind that. I want you to keep it for good luck. It would mean a lot to me. Noel. I understand. I'd be more than happy to hang on to it for you. Thank you so much, Lloyd. It's nothing to thank me for, really. But there's something I want to ask of you too. Don't forget that you're not going in alone, Noel. We're a team, so please don't think for even a second about sacrificing yourself to save the rest of us. What makes you think... Call it a detective's intuition. I know it's still weighing on your mind, that day you were forced to arrest us. But what's past is past. In the end, you're one of us, and I want you there with us tomorrow. Lloyd. Roger, I won't let you down. Still, I'm surprised you'd ask me to keep your dog tag. Feels more like the sort of thing you'd ask a boyfriend to do. Wait. Noel? Oh. Was giving this to me your way of saying that you... Wow. Well, I don't know if this will be a satisfactory answer, but... Noel, could I ask you to hold on to this for me in return? Huh? Your tag from the Crossbell Police Department. It's my only one, so I really shouldn't be giving it away as an officer on active duty, but until we've solved this crisis, I want you to keep it, Noel. And once this is all said and done, I'll give you a more proper answer. It would be my honor. So a sharing of tags to also get brave hearts too. Another relationship born that never happens because Randy is our chosen one. But let's move on to another event. Our fourth bonding event comes in the form of Rixia Mao, as we ask the assassin, Yin, what's on her mind, most likely. Lloyd, if it's not too much trouble, could I ask you to make some time for me later? I think I've been a little on edge lately, so I'd appreciate the opportunity to chat a little more before tomorrow's operation, just for a short while. Could I ask you to come back here and keep me company again when you're done making preparations? If you think it'll help, then yeah, I could do that. I appreciate it. I'm gonna stay here for a while and enjoy the breeze. There's no rush, take as much time as you need to prepare for tomorrow. I'll head to the deck once I'm done making my final preparations in the nap room. That we will. So Rixia, what is the contents of yours? Is it another love connection? The moon is beautiful tonight, isn't it? Lloyd. It feels like we have a habit of meeting up on moonlit nights like these. It's strangely fitting, considering your role as the Moon Princess. Perhaps you're right. The moon exists in both the shadow and the light. In some ways, the same could be said of myself. I've led my life under cover of dark, barred from any place the sun could reach. But that changed when you came to Crossbell. You stepped out of the shadows and into the light. Wouldn't you agree? Yes, I have no intention of denying that any longer. But still, the past has shaped my present. The darkness on the far side of the surface, it runs deeper than you can imagine. I refer, of course, to the legacy of Yin. The hidden, lightless path my father passed down to me. You've alluded to that before. If it's alright, would you mind telling me the full story this time? I want to know who you were before you came to Crossbell. I want to know the Rixia Mao that I've yet to meet. Alright. It's funny, Lloyd. I've always had a feeling that I would end up telling you about all of this. My earliest memories of life were of my father and me. I have no recollection of my mother. I believe he kept me from her at a young age so that I could be reared as an heir to the legacy of Yin. That may sound absurd, but to me it was perfectly normal. Intense training, hidden weaponry, and talisman mastery were just a part of my daily life growing up. I did attend Sunday school as we traveled from place to place. Doing so allowed me to develop the skills to interact with others. In contrast, life with father was neither strict nor kind, neither cold nor loving. He was there to teach, and my responsibility was to learn. After all, inheriting the title of Yin was an all-encompassing duty. There was simply too much to pass down to do anything but. The lives, skills, and wisdoms of generations upon generations of Yin. How to prepare for any conceivable situation, and kill any conceivable target. For Yin's storied history to continue, for the legend to live on, the successor must inherit everything from their predecessor. And so I did just that. I became exactly the kind of person Yin is, was, and ever would be. Essentially, anyway, the succession cannot occur while the previous Yin is still alive. There can only ever be one Yin. That fact will never change. In the meantime, I would spend many quiet days waiting for father to return home from his duties. Every time he did, he would outline his missions in fine detail to further prepare me for when I would take his place as Yin. In the public eye, I would assume the persona of a normal girl, but behind it, carrying the legacy, was my entire world. That is until father was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and that world was shattered. Father's strength was incredible, even compared to the generations of Yin before him. Disease, however, was a foe even he could not defeat. He chose to accept it, even opting against a surgery that would have prolonged his life. And then one day, he called me to his side, and ordered me to kill him, thereby officially inheriting the role of Yin. But I couldn't. Never once had I disobeyed father, but that was an order I could not abide by. For the first time in my life, I was afraid. I couldn't help but wonder if I, the Yin he had raised and moulded, had become a failure in his eyes. After all, what kind of daughter deprives her father of his dying wish? I was in sheer agony at the thought, but with a weak smile, father turned to me and said, "This is who you are. It is up to you to decide the Yin you will be." 1 month later, he was gone. And with that, I was Yin. I inherited father's connections and resources and used Nihon and a black shawl to conceal my figure. My skills were still no match for his, but I was able to resume his work without delay. It is up for you to decide the Yin you will be. I couldn't pass what he truly meant by that. Instead, I put my head down and continued forward, letting things come as they may. 2 years later, I accepted a long-term contract with Heiwei. I was to aid them in their power struggle with a local mafia at a key center of commerce near Calvard's western border, Crossbell City. Upon arrival, I began to scout out the city to prepare for my duties when I stumbled upon a certain theatre in the entertainment district. By pure coincidence, there was a rehearsal being held for the public that day. The rest, as you know, was history. No kidding. That was the day that you fell into Ilya's clutches. Back then, I tried to come up with any excuse I could to refuse her offer to join the troupe, but as you can imagine, Ilya just wouldn't take no for an answer. So I eventually surrendered, becoming the newest member of Arc-en-Ciel. I was both physically fit and experienced in concealing my identity, so I convinced myself it would be a smart cover while in Crossbell. The training was much more strenuous than I envisioned, though. I found it rather difficult to play the roles of both Yin and Rixia. Thank you, Rixia. I'm happy you could tell me this. Not at all. I don't think it's a particularly interesting story, so I hope it wasn't too dull for you. When all is said and done, though, this is the path I've inherited from my father and our ancestors before him. Even with the light of Arc-en-Ciel in my life, the path of Yin is one I could never truly stray from. Not entirely. I see. It is up to you to decide the Yin you will be. And Yin inherits everything, right? Then now that you've found Arc-en-Ciel and accepted it as a light in your life, wouldn't that mean Yin has to do the same? Well, all things change with time. Everything about life and the way we live it evolves. Not because it can, but because it has to. It's by passing those changes down that mankind has even been able to move forward through history. I wonder if your father was thinking the same thing when he said those words to you. It is true that as a member of the police force, I can't condone anything that could be considered criminal, but I still think you should heed those words and strive to be your own Yin, the one you want to be. On the other hand, you could always choose to sever your ties to Yin for good, but even if you decided to step off the path entirely, I don't think your father would mind. I think he would give you that same smile, those same words. This is who you are. Oh, you had a good father, Rixia. It may have not been in the same way as most other families, but he truly did love you. At least that's what I believe. Father! Why? Even the day he died, I didn't shed a single tear. You've grown, Rixia, ever since the moment you joined Ilya and the others. I don't know what path you're going to take or where it might lead you, but if you'll let me, I'd like to be there for you at each and every step, the way your father would have done. I want to be there to see the person you become, now that you've found your light. Lloyd! Finally able to cry. Lloyd and Rixia learned true Twin Dragon Strike, as Twin Dragon was strengthened. More than a feeling. Right then, onwards! Our fifth bonding event is Tio Tot, the last remaining core member of the SSS, you could say, but that sounds disrespectful to the others. So let's get to the event, or, well, her lead-in dialogue first of all. Actually, Lloyd, there is one thing you could do. I have a topic of discussion I wish to consult you about. Consult? Is there something weighing on your mind? Yes, but I'd rather not have this talk here. Can I ask you to go to the deck of the Merkaba when you're done preparing? No problem. I'll be more than happy to lend you an ear. I'll be looking forward to it. Huh, Tio's here already. Tio? Oh, Lloyd. This is a first. You didn't even notice me until I said your name. I suppose I didn't. I finally finished getting ready for tomorrow. I don't have nearly as much to do as you and the others, but I guess I'm about as prepared as I'll ever be. Likewise, we will need to be prepared if we hope to see Kia, Chief Sergei, and the others again. Not to mention, I fear that Cop hasn't been meeting his dietary needs without us. That's a good point. Now that I think about it, Yona was the only Foundation member under supervision in Michelin. Kinda makes me wonder where Chief Roberts is. I hope he's okay right now. Do you think it's possible he returned to Le Mans State, all things considered? No, I believe Chief Roberts decided to disregard the Foundation's evacuation order and remain in the city. He wanted to confirm the status of the Orbital Network after Maribel and her allies took control of it. But I wouldn't worry. Given his skittish nature, it'd come as an extreme shock if he was somehow caught. I guess, but still, I can't help being concerned. Well, I suppose I may feel the same way myself, to an extent. Lloyd, may I ask for your advice? Of course you can. Is it about that letter you were looking at before I interrupted by any chance? So you noticed them? Abbas delivered to me yesterday. It was postmarked from Altair in the Republic. The senders were my parents. Really? They came all the way from Remiferia to try and see you? Yes, they haven't been able to contact me ever since Crossbell declared independence. After they heard the situation from the Foundation, they must have made their way to the eastern border. Aside from cargo, none are allowed to travel across the borders. Therefore, they have been unable to progress any further. But still, that's great news, isn't it? The Merkaba could make it to Altair in no time. That won't be necessary. I've already written them back to inform them of my safety. And if I saw them now, I fear I would only lose my composure and become a burden on us tomorrow. But... You don't need to be upset on my behalf. I plan on seeing my parents as soon as this incident is resolved. For your information, I understand now what it means to feel homesick, thanks to you. Me? When all of us were separated, I was so lonely. When I heard you were being hunted by the Defense Force, it was like my heart was collapsing in on itself. But then when you came for me, when I finally got to see you again, I felt so happy, as if my heart was about to burst instead. At that moment, I finally realized something. That I was living. I realized that caring for the people you hold dear is what makes you who you are. For so long, I had asked why I was alive and how I was supposed to live. The first time I felt that I knew the answers to the questions I wanted to ask Guy 3 years ago. Tio. Since then, we've managed to reunite with Ellie, Randy, and everyone else. All of us have worked so hard to come this far, for Kia's sake. And once I read this letter, all of the feelings I had been bottling up came flooding out. It's been so long since I've genuinely wanted to see my mother and father. I'm happy to hear that, Tio. I really am. I'm flattered that you think I should take the credit for it. But if you've come to feel that way, then that's all you, and I couldn't be happier about it. Lloyd, I have 2 requests for you. Will you humor me? Sure, anything you want. Don't be shy. Go for it. Well, for starters, while I normally enjoy it when you pat my head like that, don't you think such a childish gesture sets the wrong tone on a special night like this? You think so? Then again, I guess I get a little fussy, too, when Randy treats me like a kid, or when my brother used to. So, what's the request? Tio? Well, when we were reunited, I tried to run up for a hug, only to end up knocking the wind out of you. But it shouldn't hurt as much now, right? Yeah. You're so warm. I apologize for not being as plush and shapely as Ellie, but unfortunately I have no say in the matter. Actually, this is kind of nice. Maybe a little too nice, in fact. What shampoo does Tio use? Wait, no, what am I thinking? And your other request? Now's as good a time as ever to make it, right? Right, for my second request, once everything is settled and my parents can come to Crossbell City, I want you to accompany me when I see them. I'd be happy to. I figured it would only be polite after how long we've worked together. You didn't have to ask for that one, you know. No, it isn't so simple as exchanging introductions. I want to explain to them why I wish to remain in Crossbell, even after all that's happened. If I don't do it face to face, I doubt they will ever accept it. My friends are here, Mishi is here, and the Orbital Network will continue to grow here. I truly do love Crossbell, but above all, I want to tell them not just how I want to live, but my reason for doing so. I want to remain by the side of the person who gave me the answers I've been seeking for the rest of my days. That is what I wish to convey. What? Hold on a moment. Wouldn't that imply... You said I could ask for anything I wanted. Fair enough. I'm a man of my word. Once this is all resolved, I'll go with you and meet your parents. Oh, I better start rehearsing how I'm going to explain this to them. I'm sure you'll think of something. That doesn't have to go romantic, by the way. It really doesn't. Could just be a sibling bond. Yeah, we'll call it that for now. Bearing in mind ages, etc. But still, I think it's always good to question what shampoo someone is using if you want to use it on yourself. I love fruity smelling hair. Anyway, Lloyd and Tio learned Omega Strike Free as we continue on to our final bonding event. And now it's Scrolls Ritter time with Wazy Hemisphere. I've been looking forward to this bonding event because I've been looking forward to learning anything I can about the Congregation for the Sacraments. So let's hope it's elucidating. Let's get to the dialogue. Right, there's one more thing I should probably tell you about. Wazy, did I remind you that matter is still supposed to be classified at this point? Oh, is it now? Then I guess I'll just have to make sure it stays between us, won't I? Very well then, the choice of whether or not to apprise him ultimately lies with you. I'm not sure I follow. Oh, but you want to. It has much to do with you, after all of you, in fact. Piqued your interest yet? If so, I can meet you on the deck later and lay a few things bare. Fine, I think I get it. I'll see you on the deck later then. Just you and me. A word of advice, Wazy. Take care to not say anything more than necessary. I know, Abbas, I know. I still have a drink to finish here, so I'll head up when I'm done. Don't wait up for me. Let's get to it. Oh, you really came. How could I not? The way you led me into this, I couldn't help but be curious. You say that as if I forced you. Don't deny that you're here out of the goodness of your heart. I do love that about you, and that's the honest truth. Alright, enough of that. You wanted to speak to me about Kia, I'm guessing. Tell me what you know. As you wish. Normally, divulging any part of our agenda to outsiders would be forbidden, but as far as the Septarian of Zero is concerned, the Church is going to take a hands-off approach, and that applies no matter how the situation closes up tomorrow. Seriously? Since the snakes have largely retreated and the original Septarion is long gone, the church has no just cause to interfere overtly. On the bright side, that means they have no jurisdiction as far as taking custody of Kia goes either. I guess that's one comfort. Thanks for telling me. Wait a minute, Wazy. Where's that leave you? Can you still cooperate with us? The fallen 7th Anguis aside, we have yet to confirm that the 6th Anguis has withdrawn. There are also those ions to consider. The technology they gave to the Croix family is still a significant threat. Until that's mitigated, I'll be allowed some degree of freedom to meddle around in things on the sly. That's one way to spin it. The more I hear, the more it feels like there's a bigger picture to all of this. A battle that's way out of my depth. The world you live in is shaped more by unseen influences than you know. As for me, I intend to end my 2-year undercover gig in Crossbell with a bang, not a whimper. You know, Wazy, sometimes I forget that you're only 17. That would mean you were just 15 when you were assigned this mission. Title of Dominion is a pretty big deal, right? How did you become one at such a young age? Dominions aren't born out of years of hard work and grubbing for promotions. Only those who are branded become Dominions, and being branded is preordained. Putting it like that, it sounds positively paranormal and more than a little sketchy. Some priest you are. About this brand, though. Is it that thing I've seen you use in battle? It's referred to as a stigma. It's a seal engraved on one's very soul, a source of power both great and detestable. It was 7 years ago that it first manifested on me. 7 years? Before you go jumping to any conclusions, it had nothing to do with the DG cult, but I'd have to tell the full story to do it justice. That's fine, I'd like to hear it if you don't mind. Come to think of it, I don't know much of anything about your life before Crossbell. It's a little odd given all the stuff I've learned about you as a person, traits, quirks and all. Alright, I don't mind sharing. I was born in a remote region of Zemuria. The village I grew up in was isolated from the world. Contact with the outside was prohibited. Since ancient times, our village had worshipped its own deity, separate from Adius. At a young age, I was burdened with the role of a medium, one who could supposedly hear the voice of this god. And I mean burdened. I'd been shackled with that duty against my will for as long as I could remember. The god was nothing more than some ancient relic they dug up somewhere. You can imagine how ridiculous I found it all. All I wanted was to be free. Free from the meaningless fate I was bestowed. Then one day, a bizarre phenomenon began to shake our hidden little village. One after another, the villagers started to slip into comas. I realized their so-called god had forsaken them. The relic had gone berserk, absorbing their vital force through the septian veins beneath us. I implored the village elders to seal the damn thing away once and for all, but they refused, opting instead to appease its rage with a sacrifice. In retrospect, my idea wasn't much better. Sealing away such a dreadful power was beyond our means. That was when they came. Knights from the church appeared in our village. When we made contact, they told me that the village's god was in fact an ancient artifact. That was all I needed to hear. Knowing that it wasn't some sort of omnipotent deity, I decided to take drastic measures. I took their god, a blue stone tablet, into my own 2 hands and tried to drop it off a cliff. I wanted nothing more than to end that village's wretched curse, to liberate my heart from the shackles that bound it. But the god was resilient. It fiercely resisted and tried to sap me of my vitality. Just when I realized the knights couldn't save me in time and that my life force was about to run dry, it happened. The brand manifested on my chest. My stigma awoke and in doing so stole the power of their god for itself. In moments, it became nothing more than an old slab of stone, crumbling to pieces in my hands. And so I was exiled from the village. That was how I obtained the freedom I yearned for. After all, I was the heretic who killed the god they worshipped so dearly. So that's what happened. More of a wild ride than you expected, wasn't it? I imagine it sounds like a twisted fairy tale to a city boy like yourself. No, seeing your power firsthand is all the proof I need to believe you. I mean, this is no less fantastical than befriending a holy piece of legend, and we've already checked that box. I guess I can't argue with that. Anyway, after things settled down, the church's knights invited me to the holy city of Arteria. As a vessel for one of the 12 stigmas, I was immediately greeted as a Dominion. Then a bus was assigned to me and we've been together ever since. That explains that. If you don't mind my asking, have you ever returned to your village? Surely you must have missed your family. I think you already know the answer. I brought that village to its knees. The keystone that held them together was destroyed by my hand. What mattered most to me was my freedom. Lifting the village's curse was a means to an end. I didn't truly care what came after. So my punishment is apt. Even my own flesh and blood despises me. From what I heard, the church did return to the village to clean up the mess that was left behind. Some are still there today. Eventually, the scourge wrought by the god they worshipped will fade into the past. Honestly, I wouldn't mind returning someday. Once enough time's gone by, that is. So don't look so glum. It's nothing for you to worry your pretty little head over. Wazy, you left that home behind. Does that mean you're going to leave Crossbell too once your mission is over? That's right. At the end of the day, I have my orders as a knight of the church. What's the matter? You going to be lonely without me? Of course I will. Oh? Even though we've lost Noel for now, I'm sure we'll bring him to his senses. The Testaments will still be here in Crossbell too. And though you may have had an ulterior motive, you were and still are a member of our team. So don't forget, you'll always have a place where you belong. Right here with us. After all, Crossbell is your second home now, isn't it? You don't need to laugh that hard. I know it's a bit corny, but you know I meant it, right? Good grief. All this time together and you still managed to surprise me. Sure, if I ever feel homesick, I'll come running back to you. Not because I have nowhere else to go, but because Crossbell is special. The place where my fate intertwined with all of yours. And so ends Wazy's scene. Strike Heaven 2 is got from it. For more information about the church. More information, or the most important information about how Wazy got his stigma. An interesting place going on. Just a nice little bit of lore all around. However, that brings us to the end. The end of our bonding events. We have now done all of them available. So, it's time to move on with our story. So after this little episode added in, I hope you enjoyed it. Trails to Azure now continues. It's time for Operation Crossbell Liberation. I'll see you next time for more. Bye-bye.